to what she was saying, it's one of those things to where read and don't judge. You know, that kind of what we say now, we listen and we don't judge. For me, definitely writing Good Morning Little Pretty Girl, because it's my story. I talk about some things that are not discussed, abortions. I talk about being in unhealthy, toxic relationships. And so, for me, I think it was just some of the pitfalls is just not being judged, getting people to see that, you know, things happen. I am human. I want other people to know that I'm human, and that some things that I talk about I'm not proud of, but it has made me become the person that I am today. And at this point in my life, there's no regrets. And so I have to just know that people that read my book, Good Morning Little Pretty Girl, are people who have an interest in healing. You have to be ready to heal. Good Morning Little Pretty Girl is not for, it's you know how we say in church, you get an ugly praise. Ugly when you're reading Good Morning Little Pretty Girl, because I know, because I had to get ugly with doing it. So that one of the pitfalls is just basically not feeling judged. In my book, talk a lot about my mother. So as black women, you know, we don't downplay our mothers. You don't do that. I don't care, you know, what happened, what went on, and I want people to understand that that's not what I was doing at all. But the more people read it, the more people can say, I can relate to this, and it's okay. It's okay. So that helped me to not be, you know, like, oh my God, should I, certain times, should I talk about my book here? Should I go here and talk about it? So right now I'm just at a point to where it is what it is.
That's interesting that you said that. When I finished my book, I told my mom I finished the book, and she said, later on, she said, "Now, is anything in there about the family?"
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, it's not that type of book. It's not an autobiography, Mama.
Well, mine was.
Yeah.
Mine is, and my mother is the same way, especially having a mother that's totally opposite from myself, because I'm about, again, healing and freedom, and my mother's not that type. She's 77 years old now, and she's still not that type. And I wish I could change that, but unfortunately I can't. And there are some things, again, that I share in my book that she was like, now, and at that time I had my housing program, and she was like, well, you know, people are gonna look at you a little different. And I said, yeah, they probably will, but you know, I'm gonna be able to help somebody. I think it was Angel or one of the other authors that talked about, you know, that's why we do what we do, to let people know that you're not alone. And I'm so grateful that I have women in my life that have read my book, and men that have read my book and say, you know what, golly, I've never talked about my abortion that I had, and you know, I've never talked about the toxic relationship. So if I can, you know, help somebody heal, then so be it. I'll take a chance on that judgment. It's worth it.
It is. I'm glad that you said that. You know, I think that writing, especially when you write something that is what you've been through, it's your most vulnerable state, and you're opening yourself up to criticism and judgment. I mean, I do radio, and so, you know, I'm on social media, and I only post the highlight reel. People don't see the sad stuff.
Right.
People don't see when somebody dies, or if you're just on your period, or you got over with, or you're sad, you know, they don't see that, but they'll still find a way. They don't like you to judge you. I don't know where that is. How do you deal with the criticism and the judgment of something that is so personal and intimate to you?
I always just let the ladies talk. They know, they already got the range. For me personally, it was all about, I mean, honestly, truthfully, I had, it was some fear, honestly, right? Because what somebody gonna say, letting yourself out to people is very, to do that is very courageous. I'm gonna say that, because if it's something that's really personal to you, you want to protect it, right? You don't want anybody to know about it and stuff like that. So just sharing some parts about you, your personal life, it's a really scary thing, I write about that in my book personally. My mom, I'll give you an example. My mom, when I was a kid, had a name for me, right? And I talked a lot. Talk. So my mom said, you know what, Mr. Motormouth. She called me Motormouth as a kid. It bothered me, but I didn't realize how much of an effect it had, years later. So I put that in my book because that was a very dear thing to me. It was very close to me. I didn't want people to know that part about me, on what I was called as a kid, right? That's an example of that. So, you talk about things that is really close to us and personal. That's a challenging part, right? To release that to people so they know, right, about you, because someone else also, right, may have something to them that's personal and they might be release that too.
What's the question again?
How do you deal with the criticism or judgment that can come from something that you wrote that's so personal, close to you?
It's a great question. One thing that I've realized, words have weight. Words matter. And there's a word, maybe 5 or 6 words that are my pet peeve nowadays, but one word stands strong, the word should. Should. S-H-O-U-L-D. When someone says, you shouldn't do this, you should have done this, that's a tremendous amount, again, judgment. And that judgment weighs heavy on people. You think, oh, what are they saying? That's one thing. Secondly, when someone's telling you what you should or should not do, that's based on their beliefs, their perspective, their experiences, and not yours. Knowing that, and that word releases me from all judgment, because I know that when someone's saying I should or should not do something, it's about them, not about me. They haven't considered who I am, why I do what I do, and why I wrote what I wrote. It's about what they would do, wouldn't do, should have done, all those things. That helps me tremendously. And again, words carry weight.
Yeah. No, I can definitely relate to that, because mine was mostly from my family. Came from a broken family that had no interest in healing. So then you have this person that get in this environment and start to heal and want to go back and get everybody, come on, let's everybody heal. So when I started talking about things that affected my family, it brought things up for them. So it was really tough. Again, I speak with my mother quite a bit, and she has sisters, and so they had to start looking at some things themselves. Some of them didn't even purchase the book, which is okay. It's okay. Because when they get to their healing point, when they're ready, then they'll do that. Or maybe they'll purchase someone else's book. They may get Angel's book, or they may get these young ladies' book, to where they can start their journey. But that was really a big challenge for me, was my family. The reason why I hesitated, I put off writing my book until my children were older, because there's some things in the book that I talk about that I hadn't told my children, and I wasn't comfortable with telling them at a young age. And when I put that off, they became older, so I felt a little bit more comfortable. Then my mother became sick. My mother has dementia and Alzheimer's, so then I had to scoot back again, because I said, I don't want to cause any harm on her, but then all the time, I was still suffering. I was still needing to heal. And so I had to just trust God, I had to trust the process and do what I needed to do. And even now, years later, some of my family now will ease beside me and say, you know what, I'm glad you said that. They didn't there to say it. They not at that point to where they could say it. So I was just their voice. And I'm hoping that I will be the voice of many women that are healing from abandonment issues and anger and growing up, not knowing who my biological father was. 57 years old today, and my mother is still in a place in her life that she can't even honestly say that. So then here I go back to that little girl that had those abandonment issues. So it's out there, and sometimes we have to ruffle some feathers to get our healing. I had to have my healing so I could be a healthy wife and a healthy mother. And if I would not have done that, I'm still working on some things. Even you know, in marriage, you know, there's some ways that I react to stuff that's from a broken place. So yeah, so definitely family is really challenging for me, and they really gonna be, it's gonna be on. I'm working on my next book, Good Morning Little Pretty Girl, all grown up. So it's like, whoa, you know, my voice is bigger and louder now. So, but some of them have done some healing themselves. So maybe this one won't be as bad. Maybe they won't throw me completely out of it.
I got a question I'd like to ask you. Man, you know, I can identify with your book. And I can imagine it's beautiful. I've never read it, but just listening to you talk about it. And I know sometimes family is the toughest people to deal with.
Yes.
Your family. So my question to you is, in dealing with your family and writing this book, and I know some of your families won't even purchase the book because they're afraid of what's in the book that's going to bring them to shame. So, if you were to go back and look at your book and to reread it, could you honestly say, sitting there today, that you didn't leave anything out? Because as a person that's writing that book, some things you just don't want to let out. You gotta hold back some things because it will embarrass you. You gotta feel my pain because I can feel you over there.
I feel you.
So,
I feel you.
how do you look at that? Were you able to really just open up and just able to really write? Or was there some things that you just had to hold back?
There are some things that I definitely had to hold back, but they're ready now.
Okay.
That's why there's part
Talk
two.
to me then.
Good Morning Little Pretty Girl, all grown up.
Okay.
There were some things in Good Morning Little Pretty Girl that I could not talk about. I couldn't talk about. It didn't have anything to do with anybody else. I wasn't ready. There were some things that I had to consider when that would involve my husband now. Those are things that happened before I married. How does that affect my marriage? How does that affect my relationship with my son and my daughter? And when writing that book, it has definitely affected the relationship, especially with my son, I didn't anticipate that. I thought it would be more of my daughter, but it was more of my son to say, Mom, really? Yeah. But I didn't put it all. I put some stuff out, but I didn't put some. I had to put stuff out where I was. But now I'm a little more put together, and some of those pieces to that puzzle, to the Tabitha puzzle, are coming together, and I can grab one there and say, okay, now I'm gonna put this out now. But a lot of stuff I could not put out 3 years ago.
And I think that's
Thank you for the
important to know too, like, you have to make sure that you're okay. And if you're creating your art, you gotta be okay with it. You can't give and give where you have nothing left of yourself just to put this art out. You gotta make sure you're good. So it's okay. I can put out more stuff. That just shows the growth on your part. So that's amazing. All right. Writer's block. Let's talk about it. Y'all read books, y'all got them out, y'all did y'all thing, but have you ever experienced writer's block? And if so, how do you get past
She said writer's block.
You just can't, you open that computer to type, and I mean, the words are not coming, you are not inspired. You know you wanna write a book, but I've got nothing. I can't even think of a sentence to put together.
For me, it was all about interpreting, right? Interpreting what I wanted to say. That's my block. So my book talks a lot about African culture history and how to be able to apply it to where we are right now, just like she was talking about. Just like that brother was talking about the math, right? Just like, other people that was up here discussing, I had blocks because of how I wanted to describe it. So for an example, I talk about the reflection on knowing yourself. How does a person understand that who you really are, you want to be that person instead of being someone else? I'm not, little kids, I have grandchildren now. They have comic books, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. Everybody else is somebody else's man but your own man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to write that part. So that was my block. I don't want to be that. I mean, trust me. I love the Black Panther, right? I love that Black Panther character, but what can I learn to be like that man? You see what I'm saying? You want to be that king, right? You want to be that leader. You want to be a responsible person. But for me, it was how do I do it? And that was my block. That was my challenge.
Similar to what Tina's just said, my block was not what do I want to write. It is how do I want to write it, how do I want to structure it, and what I want to say within that structure. Once I had that structure, I was ready. And again, similar to what Tiana said, for me, my book was about, or is about, authenticity. Authenticity, and I'll say it again, authenticity. We all are uniquely made. Anyone heard that before? For that reason, the name of my book is Becoming a Diamond Snowflake. Discover your unique brilliance. We are uniquely made. You with a capital Y-O-U, because you are you. You're no one else. Again, no one else can be the Black Panther. And the reason that we're all diamond snowflakes, for example, before I say for example, describe a diamond. Anyone out there?
Rare.
Oh, there you go. Rare. What else? What's a diamond?
Uniquely made.
Uniquely made, in form, in shape. Describe a snowflake.
Very unique. One of one.
One of one, very similar. For that reason, instead of looking at someone else to see what they're wearing, what they're doing, how they're talking, figure out who you are. And this is a workbook that takes you through some of the steps. Many of the steps do so. This workbook is introspection, reflection. More importantly, there's some of the hardest questions that my clients have had to answer to bring them to, who am I? What do I want right now?
Writer's block for me. See, y'all can probably already figure out I'm a little different. I don't know. For me, it was just going back and revisiting, healing, and so that's how my book turned into. My book is an adult coloring book. So you read, you color, and you journal. That's how I got through my writer's block, because I would start thinking like, you know what? Why didn't they tell me that this man really wasn't my dad? And then I'd want to stop. That was my block. I blocked, because I blocked these things for years. I blocked them for years, so I would just say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to do it. So that's when I would start coloring. I would just take my time out to just get somewhere that I would like to sit. They call it, I always call it Indian style, but somebody else said crisscross applesauce or something. I don't know. But I would find myself sitting in Indian style and coloring, because that was how I was given the opportunity to open myself back up. So I think when we experience writer's block, it's we have to find a way, your way, to say, let me maneuver through this. Because sometimes I would sit and start coloring, and the next thing I know, I'd be like, oh, okay, let me go back and say, write what I was writing. Or I would say, you know what, I don't want to deal with that today. So for me, I think it's important to have what I like to call a self-care toolbox. So when you're writing, you can, because you go, for me, you go in and out. So when I'm on that out phase, I need something to help me say, to tell that little girl, you're okay, you can do this. So that turned into coloring and journaling for me. Not writing a book, but journaling, saying, Tab, what's wrong? Why do you not, and I said, Tab, my name is Tabitha. But when I'm writing and I get writer's block, I'm Tab, because I have to go back to that little girl and say, you know, you've had this hidden for so long. So now you got to do some things to bring it back out. So I think it's important to have your own set of tools to be able to get through that writer's block. And whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's coloring, and I like a little sound stuff, and So then it gets me back on track.
Because you're doing things that you love and important to you that kind of have nothing to do with this book.
Exactly.
But they have everything to do with things that make you happy. I CrossFit, don't tell nobody.
I'm mad at
And I do jigsaw puzzles.
Oh, you're not,
So
see, I can't do
really
that.
understand. Like, if I'm at that place, it's like, you know what, okay, where's the end? Let me just, and an hour later, I'm like, whew.
Yeah, yeah.
Now.
Yeah, now let me write this book.
Let everybody know where we can find you guys, get more information on you, and purchase your book.
Well, I'm, Facebook. I have a website, Good Morning Little Pretty Girl Healing.com, and you can actually go on there to purchase a book. Instagram, I think my daughter got me hooked up on Instagram. All this stuff. She just say, hey, Mom, put this on your, okay, all right, got it. So Facebook, Instagram, and I also have a podcast now. I'm Talking with Tabitha, TWT. All about healing, so yeah, I'm reachable.
And you can find me on all social media, Lamitra.off or Lamitra.off or lbocareercoaching.com on my website, and on LinkedIn, it's Lamitra.off. More importantly, for today, you can find me at the table. And if you have not gotten your drawing ticket, we have a drawing. We're giving away 3 different things. Guess the diamonds, because again, you all are a diamond member. Someone will win a bottle of wine. Someone will also win a signature signed copy of wine. So come in a diamond snowflake, discover your mission.
All you have to do is just Google. That's it. You Google me, Google this book, you will see it everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, website. 7 Keys to Personal Development for Street Survival is the book. Okay, so anytime you just Google 7 Keys, my name, I know, Tina Stillman, you spell it, don't miss the A, don't miss the N, don't miss any of that. If you have my name, type it in, you'll see it'll come everywhere. So, just look me up on Google or our website or
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. All right, everybody got a raffle ticket now? Yes? All right. Oh, this is from the doc. All right, so the first thing we're gonna raffle off is a T-shirt. Grab your raffle ticket. Last 2 numbers, 07.